of what's the maximum potential, where is this player at currently. There's a ton of opportunity and potential that the kid has. And there's been tons of players that have been drafted in the later rounds who teams have questions about that end up panning out. And a lot of that comes down to the intangibles. A lot of that comes down to, does he just have this it factor? Everybody, and that's what everybody's kind of waiting.
What happens when a future Hall of Famer, a retired legend, drops a casual but deadly accurate truth bomb on an entire NFL franchise? What happens when the owner of that franchise, instead of brushing it off, explodes in a public furious meltdown that confirms every single fear held by his own fan base? You get a feud that is absolutely defining the start of the season. You get the kind of chaos that only the Cleveland Browns can deliver. And right now, the entire league is watching with a bucket of popcorn because this isn't just football beef anymore. This is a full-blown sports soap opera starring Jason Kelce, the prophet of doom, and the most insecure organization in the NFL. You guys know the drill. I'm working hard to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. If you love this kind of deep dive drama, hit that subscribe button right now. Don't miss a single breakdown. When Jason Kelce speaks, the NFL usually perks up like he's reading commandments off stone tablets. The man is a living legend, a Super Bowl champion, and the bearded heart of Philadelphia for over a decade. But this time, he didn't just drop an opinion, he fired off a full-on warning flare aimed right at the heart of Cleveland, and it blew up bigger than a busted keg at a tailgate party. Instead of brushing it off, the Browns owner went into a full-scale public meltdown. We're not talking about a calm corporate, here's a press release kind of meltdown. No, this was the full angry uncle flipping the table at Thanksgiving vibe. And just like that, what should have been a minor blip on the news radar has escalated into a full-blown football feud simmering hotter than ribs on a grill outside the dog pound. Kelce, the man built like a Viking statue dipped in beard oil, has now transformed from a beloved future Hall of Famer into Cleveland's unofficial prophet of doom. And he didn't whisper his prophecy. He announced it like a storm siren wailing over Lake Erie. The Browns probably thought their worst nightmare this year would be trying to explain Deshaun Watson's colossal contract without giggling nervously. But nope, in rode Jason Kelce like Gandalf in shoulder pads, arms waving, pointing a finger directly at the franchise and telling the entire city, danger's coming. He didn't just suggest there was trouble, he named names and predicted the fallout with chilling accuracy. He stated that somebody in the Cleveland Browns organization is 100% getting fired by the end of the year, and his money was on head coach Kevin Stefanski. He diagnosed the internal politics perfectly, noting that Stefanski never wanted rookie sensation Shedeur Sanders on the team in the first place. It was a pick made by the general manager Andrew Berry, and in the brutal world of the NFL, when a coach and a GM aren't on the same page about the most important position in sports, bad things are guaranteed to happen. Now, if this warning had been aimed at any other fan base, people might have laughed, rolled their eyes, and gotten back to arguing over who makes the best chili. But this is Cleveland. This is a place that treats every single warning like the sky itself is collapsing. These are fans who have lived through fumbles so tragic they're still whispered about in hushed tones in bars decades later. They've endured a carousel of quarterbacks who didn't even outlast a TikTok trend, and they've experienced a level of consistent misery so profound that therapists in the area could hand out loyalty cards for group sessions. So when a figure with the gravitas of Jason Kelce lit the flare and basically declared, Cleveland, you're doomed, the city didn't sit quiet, and more importantly, neither did the owner. Instead of responding with reason, strategy, or even a fake corporate smile, he snapped back with pure unadulterated fury. It was the kind of chest-beating rage that screams, how dare anyone point out the obvious, well-documented, and painfully visible problems with our broken squad. And just like that, one casual but pointed warning from a retired legend turned into a public brawl that's about to shake the dog pound to its very foundations. Because that's the Cleveland Browns in a nutshell. Chaos wrapped in a helmet, a never-ending drama that they insist on starring in themselves. You don't need spreadsheets or advanced analytics to see the dysfunction brewing in Cleveland. All you have to do is glance at their sideline during a game. One coach looks like he's perpetually questioning every life decision that led him to this franchise. Another is chewing his gum so hard you'd think it owes him rent money. And the quarterback, whether it's the aging veteran or the benched prodigy, is often seen staring into the void like he just realized exactly which franchise he signed his soul over to. But Jason Kelce isn't just some loudmouth analyst looking for clicks. This is the older half of America's favorite sibling rivalry, a Super Bowl warrior who has seamlessly transitioned into a podcasting flamethrower. This is the guy who went from pancaking defensive tackles into the turf to blasting rants about the state of the league that go viral before he's even finished his sentence. When Kelce talks, the entire NFL ecosystem, from players and coaches to executives and fans, actually pays attention. Well, everywhere except Cleveland. Apparently in Cleveland, listening to sound advice is treated like optional homework you already know you're failing, instead of taking even 2 seconds to say, maybe the guy with the Super Bowl ring and a reputation for being one of the smartest players in the game has a point. The Browns owner hit the panic button and had a full-blown emotional meltdown in public. And let's be brutally honest here, this is not exactly a team famous for rejecting good advice and magically thriving anyway. Their history is a graveyard of bad decisions and missed opportunities. Kelce wasn't even insulting them. He was doing them a favor. He was practically giving them a free public service announcement. Hey Cleveland, maybe try not to drive headfirst into the same ditch you've been crashing into for the past 3 decades. Just a thought. But gratitude? Forget it. The owner responded with the sports equivalent of throwing a tantrum in the middle of a Walmart while the cameras are rolling. You could practically hear the steam whistle blasting off his head. The outrage was so fiery, so over the top that it screamed a single defiant message. We've been proudly mediocre for decades and will continue to be mediocre on our own terms. Thank you very much. Browns fans have already lived through a revolving door of coaches, quarterbacks, and coordinators getting swapped out like a disastrous season of speed dating. Yet, the moment someone of Kelce's stature dares to state the obvious, that trouble is already brewing. The organization acts like it's breaking news. They're behaving as if Jason Kelce personally insulted the entire city's honor, their families, and their sacred recipe for pierogies. But let's be real for a second. Cleveland has been warned 1,000 times before, not by pundits, but by their own painful history. Every season kicks off with hope so thick you could butter bread with it, and almost every season ends with the same catastrophic crash and burn deja vu. It's like when your cousin looks at your fantasy football draft and tells you it's trash. You already knew it deep down, but hearing it said out loud still makes you irrationally furious. And here's the wild twist that makes this entire saga so delicious. Jason Kelce doesn't even need this drama. The man is retired. He's not suiting up to play against the Browns. He's not game planning against them. He gains absolutely nothing from stirring this pot. He's literally chilling on the sidelines of the NFL, sipping a drink and casually tossing matches into Cleveland's perpetually leaking gas tank just to watch the sparks fly. That's exactly why the Browns owner's meltdown is pure comedy gold. He's essentially picking a fight and arguing with a retired legend who has 0 to lose and all the time in the world to drop more truth bombs. Meanwhile, the fan base is splitting right down the middle. Half of them are nodding along, muttering, "Well, he's not wrong," while the other half are screaming at the sky, "Don't you dare disrespect our sacred mediocrity," because let's face it, being a Browns fan is like belonging to a chaotic religion. You pray for miracles, you suffer endlessly, and somehow you keep dragging yourself back to church every Sunday. Only the altar is a football field, and the prayers are rarely answered. If the owner truly wanted to clap back at Jason Kelce, all he had to do was let his team's play do the talking. That's the cruel, simple punchline to this whole affair. Instead of silencing the noise with wins, the Browns organization has become so obsessed with being offended that they are keeping the circus alive themselves. And once again, Cleveland forgets the golden rule of sports. The loudest and most effective way to shut people up is to actually win. The only scoreboard that matters is the one that shows more points for your team at the end of the game. Period. Jason Kelce might have just stirred the pot, but the Browns owner in his rage upended the entire spice rack into the cauldron and turned a minor story into a national spectacle that the NFL can't stop watching. This feud isn't just football beef anymore. It's premium cable drama dressed up in shoulder pads. Because here's the truth. Football as an industry feeds off chaos and storylines. And Cleveland, bless their hearts, just delivered a plot so messy, so petty, and so thoroughly entertaining that you simply have to watch what happens next. Kelce didn't just warn the Browns, he exposed their deepest insecurities. And the owner's furious snapback, that wasn't a show of strength, that was a confession, caught on a hot mic for the whole world to hear. The meltdown didn't stop at one angry response. Oh no, that was just Act 1 of Cleveland's never-ending tragic comedy, because when Jason Kelce drops a warning shot of that magnitude, you don't just get mad, you spiral. And spiral is exactly what the Browns front office did. Harder than a quarterback backpedaling on 4th and 27 with no plan and a collapsing pocket. Let's not forget, these are the same fans who once celebrated a winless season with a parade for losing every single game. Not even Kelce's most dire fire alarm warning could top that level of self-aware comedy gold. So when the owner clapped back with fiery words, it didn't intimidate anyone. It looked like a man waving a sparkler in a hurricane and pretending it was a nuclear warhead. Here's where it gets even juicier. By yelling so loudly, the Browns basically proved Kelce right. It's like someone calmly warns you that your basement might be flooding, and instead of checking for leaks, you stand on your lawn and scream at them for even mentioning the concept of water. That's Cleveland Logic 101. Don't fix the glaringly obvious mess. Just scream at the messenger until the crowd forgets what the original problem was. And the wildest part of it all is that Kelce wasn't even aiming for this level of drama. The man is retired. He's fully in his podcast era, his dad life era, his sip a cold beer on national TV and still trend worldwide era. He has absolutely nothing to lose and no 300 lb defensive ends to dodge anymore, which makes every word he says hit twice as hard. For the Cleveland organization to treat Kelce's casual, albeit pointed warning like it was some nuclear declaration of war is utterly wild. The Browns owner didn't even need to say a single word. Silence would have been golden. Silence would have been classy. Silence would have made Kelce's words fade into the background of the 24-hour news cycle within a day or two. But nope, instead we got fireworks. And if there's one thing the NFL media machine never, ever turns down, it's fireworks. Now, every sports network gets to loop highlight reels of Kelce's epic beard side by side with quotes from Cleveland's meltdown, while talk shows gorge themselves on the drama for weeks on end. Philly fans are probably watching this unfold with a giant bowl of popcorn in hand, while Steelers and Ravens fans are doubled over, laughing their way into next season. Only Cleveland could take a throwaway comment from a retired player and manage to turn it into a full-blown soap opera that defines their preseason. And here's the real kicker. The NFL as a league lives off of these soap operas. Conflict is its oxygen, its bread and butter, its secret sauce. Because while everyone's busy arguing about who said what, no one's noticing the real fundamental issue. Cleveland still has to actually play football. No angry rant, no snappy soundbite, no furious comeback is gonna stop a pass rush or keep an elite quarterback like Lamar Jackson from slicing their defense up like a Thanksgiving turkey. But sure, let's waste valuable time, energy, and media attention on proving Jason Kelce wrong with spicy quotes instead of stacking touchdowns. It's a genius strategy, right? And here's where the modern day psychology of celebrity makes this even juicier. Jason isn't just Jason Kelce, future Hall of Fame center. He's also Travis Kelce's big brother. He's inextricably tied to America's favorite pop culture circus, the one with Taylor Swift's name plastered on every single headline. The Kelce family has been a trending topic for over a year, living rent-free on billboards, social media timelines, and gossip columns. So, when Jason drops some shade on the Cleveland Browns, it instantly jumps from a niche football headline to mainstream gossip. And by snapping back so aggressively, the Browns owner didn't just argue with a retired center, he inadvertently put himself on the gossip page too. Now Cleveland looks defensive, insecure, and still totally unproven. They look like the kid in the schoolyard swearing, "I wasn't crying," while actively wiping away tears in front of the whole class. Even with his eyes red and his voice cracking, everyone can see the truth. The louder the Cleveland organization snaps, the clearer it becomes that Jason Kelce struck a raw, exposed nerve. And that's the beautiful, tragic, and hilarious beauty of this whole saga. It's a completely self-inflicted comedy. Jason Kelce didn't destroy the Browns. The Browns are destroying themselves by overreacting in public like a cast member on a reality show reunion special. Now, let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. Cleveland isn't just a football team. They're a long-running football experiment that keeps blowing up in the lab. Every single time they inch close to relevance, something collapses in spectacular, almost poetic fashion. A last-second fumble, a missed field goal that doinks off the upright, a catastrophic quarterback injury that derails a promising season. It's less of a professional franchise and more of a sitcom with way too many seasons and no satisfying finale in sight. Kelce pointing this out wasn't some groundbreaking revelation. It was obvious, painfully obvious to anyone who has watched the NFL for more than 5 minutes. But the owner's furious, thin-skinned denial, that's what turned it into a national spectacle. Instead of brushing it off, he grabbed the spotlight, turned it on himself, and basically screamed, "Yes, this is our problem and we're proud of it." And the timing couldn't possibly be worse. The season is about to kick off. The entire league is sizing up which teams look ready to compete, which ones look shaky, and which ones are completely delusional. And right now, thanks to this meltdown, Cleveland is wearing that delusional label like a giant flashing name tag. The cracks in the foundation aren't just showing, they're widening into canyons, and everyone can see the water rushing through. So what's next in this drama? Oh, you already know. Another classic Browns collapse feels almost inevitable, and this time, the whole league is watching with popcorn at the ready. Every single loss this season is going to play out with Jason Kelce's warning flashing across the screen like a biblical curse. Every interception, every whiffed block, every boneheaded coaching mistake will be replayed with the ready-made narrative that Cleveland had been warned, and they flat out refuse to listen. And when that happens, the owner's preseason meltdown will be the cherry on top of the schadenfreude Sunday, the perfect "we told you so" moment for the entire football world. The internet is already locked and loaded, the receipts will be pulled, old clips of the owner's angry statements will resurface, and social media will do what it does best: laugh the Cleveland Browns straight into oblivion. That's the Browns in a nutshell. Just when they could have kept their heads down, stayed quiet, and let their performance on the field speak for itself, they opened their mouths and confirmed every single negative stereotype people have about their dysfunctional organization. Jason Kelce didn't just give a warning, he handed Cleveland a giant high-powered spotlight, and instead of stepping aside, they strutted right into the beam and promptly tripped over their own shoelaces for everyone to see. The funniest part is that Kelce has probably already forgotten he even said it. He's moved on. Meanwhile, the Browns are in emergency boardrooms, drafting statements, holding crisis talks, and acting like his words were carved into stone tablets on Mount Sinai. That's the insidious nature of dysfunction. When somebody shines a light on it, the insecure and reflexive reaction is to scream at the spotlight instead of fixing the mess it's illuminating. And that's exactly what the Browns owner did. He didn't silence the critics, he confirmed their deepest suspicions loud and clear. And the beauty, or the tragedy, depending on how you see it, is in the sheer inevitability of it all. Every blown coverage, every third and long disaster, every boneheaded play call will now echo Kelce's warning louder than anything he actually said. Cleveland doesn't even have to lose big for the drama to intensify. The narrative is already set. The meltdown will make even their small stumbles feel monumental. Jason Kelce lit the fuse. But it's the Cleveland Browns who are pouring gasoline on the fire and keeping the fireworks show alive. And now every camera, every podcast, every hot take show is circling like vultures just waiting for the Browns to make their next predictable mistake. Because here's the unvarnished truth. This isn't just about one warning anymore. It's about an entire franchise showing the world exactly how fragile, how thin-skinned, and how utterly unprepared they are to handle pressure. Think about it. A retired center with absolutely nothing to gain casually says, "Hey, trouble's coming," and instead of brushing it off, or better yet, using it as fuel, the Browns owner turned it into the headline of the season. That's not leadership, that's insecurity on full display for a national audience. And in the NFL, insecurity spreads faster than injuries in training camp. Coaches feel it, players feel it, and the fans start smelling blood in the water before kickoff even arrives. Now, the Browns aren't just fighting their opponents on the schedule, they're fighting their own shadow. Every missed throw from their quarterback will feel heavier. Every blown assignment on defense will carry the ghost of Kelce's words, haunting them like a curse they brought upon themselves. And when the cameras inevitably zoom in on the frustrated faces on the sideline and the chaotic communication between coaches, the clip is already ready to go viral with Kelce's prophetic warning echoing in the background. The supreme irony, Kelce's probably back home right now grilling burgers, tossing his kids in the pool, and living a completely stress-free life. Meanwhile, the Cleveland organization is spinning in circles, trapped in their own self-made storm, turning a casual comment into the defining, inescapable storyline of their entire season. That's the Browns' way. When faced with the choice between proving people wrong or proving people right, they almost always seem to pick the latter. And here's the part that stings the most for their long-suffering fans. Jason Kelce doesn't have to say another single word. His warning has taken on a life of its own. It's now bigger than him, living rent-free in Cleveland's collective head and growing louder with every inevitable stumble on the field. And that's the real plot twist here. Jason Kelce doesn't even have to be part of the story anymore. His words have already been branded onto Cleveland's season like a scarlet letter. And no matter how loud the Browns owner screams or how many angry press releases the team issues, that warning will always echo louder. Every stumble, every ugly loss, every sideline meltdown will drag those words right back into the spotlight, reminding everyone that this team had the chance to shut up the critics with quiet competence and chose loud, chaotic insecurity instead. This isn't just football anymore. This is theater. The Browns front office willingly turned themselves into the stars of a soap opera nobody asked for. But you can be sure everybody will be watching. And make no mistake, the NFL is licking its chops. Storylines like this sell tickets, drive ratings, and fuel headlines. They keep the cameras locked firmly on Cleveland whether they win or, more likely, lose. The greatest comedy is the one you write for yourself, and the Cleveland Browns are currently scribbling the funniest, most tragic script in the entire NFL. The question isn't whether Jason Kelce was right. The question is how quickly the Browns will confirm his prophecy and whether the owner will explode in a public meltdown of biblical proportions when it finally happens. We'll be here to watch every second of it.